Just make sure it's red. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloki Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 46, Verse 38. Okay. Yeah, sorry, 10th Canto 45, Verse 38. Tateti ataruya maharato ratam. Tateti ataruya maharato ratam. Prabhasham asatya duranta vikramo. Prabhasham asatya duranta vikramo. Velam upavrajya nishidatušanam. Velam upavrajya sindur viditvaranam aharatayo. Tateti ataruya maharataratham. Tateti ataruya maharathoratam. Prabhasham asadya duranta vikramo. Prabhasham asadya duranta vikramo. Velam upavrajya nisidhatushanam. Velam upavrajya nisidhatushanam. Sindur viditvaranam aharatayo. Sindur viditvaranam aharatayo. Yes, Prabhus, you can go ahead. Recite. Tateti ataruya maharato ratam. Prabhasham asatya duranta vikramo. Vedam parajya nishidhatushanam. Sindur viditvahanam aharatayo. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Tateti ataruya maharato ratam. Prabhasham asatya duranta vikramo. Vedam upavrajya nishidhatushanam. Sindur viditvaranam aharatayo. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Word to word meaning. Tata, so be it. Iti, saying this. Atha, then. Aruya, mounting. Maharato, the two great charioteers. Ratam, a chariot. Prabhasham, Prabhashatirtha. Asadya, reaching. Duranta, limitless. Vikramau, whose prowess. Velam, up to the shore. Upavrajya, walking. Nishidatu, they sat down. Shanam, for a moment. Sindhu, the presiding demigod of the ocean. Viditva, recognizing. Arhanam, respectful offering. Aharat, brought. Tayo, for them. Translation and purport. So be it, replied those two great charioteers of limitless might. They at once mounted their chariot and set off for Prabhasha. When they reached that place, they walked up to the shore and sat down. In a moment, the deity of the ocean, recognizing them to be the Supreme Lord, approached them with offerings of tribute. Purport. Western scholars sometimes think that references in ancient books of wisdom to the deity of the ocean, the deity of the sun, and so on reveal a primitive mystical way of thinking. They sometimes say that primitive men think that the ocean is God or that sun and moon are gods. In fact, references such as the word Sindhu in this verse meaning the ocean indicate the person who governs that aspect of physical nature. We can give several modern examples. In the United Nations, we may say the United States votes, yes. The Soviet Union votes, no. We hardly mean that the physical countries of the buildings in them have voted. We mean that a particular person representing that political and geographical entity has voted. Yet the newspaper will simply say that United States voted deciding etc. and everyone knows what that means. Similarly, in business, we may say a large conglomerate has swallowed up a smaller firm. We hardly mean that the buildings, office, equipment, and the like have physically swallowed another building full of workers and office equipment. We mean that the empowered authorities have engaged in particular act on behalf of their respective corporate entities. Unfortunately, modern scholars are eager to confirm their pet theories that ancient spiritual wisdom is primitive, mythic, and largely supplanted by more modern ways of thinking, exemplified by their own eloquent remarks. However, much in modern scholarship must be rethought in the light of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo. So the translation is, so be it, replied those two great charioteers of limitless might. They at once mounted their chariot and set off for Pravasa. When they reached that place, they walked up to the shore and sat down. In a moment, the deity of the ocean, recognizing them to be the Supreme Lord, approached them with offerings of tribute. So we can see here the ocean is offering tribute to the Lord. So some quotes from Nectar of Devotion, different pastimes of Lord's reciprocation with the devotees, demigods, and so on. So it's a wonderful. And in this purport, it specially says the Western scholars, they think this to be wisdom to be something like a mythical way of thinking. The purport says, but actually, ours is descending process. Material knowledge is ascending process, which is coming from chain of disciplic succession. We all have 4 defects, so whatever knowledge is our imperfect, our senses are imperfect, our hearing is imperfect, our seeing is imperfect. We have cheating tendency. Second defect to err is human. Third, and to be illusion, to be bewildered. So these are the 4 defects we all have. So descending knowledge is perfect. So this knowledge comes from the paramparas, and we can here see in this wonderful science Srimad Bhagavatam, in this particular chapter, so much emphasis is given. The Lord reciprocates with his parents, consoles his parents, uh, charities, brahmanas, second initiation, importance of children, women, spiritual master ultimately, and charity of cows. So this whole chapter is on this, especially how to offer respects to um, parents, how Krishna is consoling his parents in different words, very kind words, and then how Vasudev, mentally he is giving charity to the brahmanas, cows, and is coming in true after he is being released from the prison. Then he's physically giving how during the time of Krishna, all the citizens were very happy in Krishna um, established Ugrasen as the king. So here we can see all the citizens were happy, and Krishna consoled Vasudeva, Nanda Maharaj, and all the villagers to go back to their village again. So this is beautiful. So giving in the importance in spiritual life, to elderly people you have to give respect. Brahmanas, children, cows, women, spiritual master. And this particular verse is this how on the order of Sandipa Muni, Krishna is approaching the sea and asking to return and the son of his spiritual master Sandipa Muni. So beautiful. So last class there was internet was not there, something was messed up. So some points I will touch on which I read last time. It was on twice born initiation. So it's working, right? Okay. Hare Krishna. After attaining twice born status through initiation, the Lord, sincere in their oaths, took the further oath of celibacy from Garga Muni, the spiritual master of the Yadus. So this is few I can read from 23 to 28. Now you should all return to Vraja, dear father. We shall come to see you. Our dear relatives who suffer in separation from us, we have given some happiness to your well-being friends. So Krishna is consoling his parents, and he's telling them, you go back to your place, and his well-wishing friends also. Thus consoling Nand Maharaj and other men of Vraja, the infallible Supreme Lord respectfully honored them with gifts of clothing, jewelry, household utensils, and so on. In nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, there are different reciprocation. That is dadami. Dadami, one should inquire, and one should give gifts and accept gifts. That's one thing. So here we can see the Supreme Lord is respectfully honored them with gifts of clothing, thus consoling Nanda Maharaj and the other men of Raja. The infallible Supreme Lord respectfully honored them with gifts of clothing, jewelry, household utensils, and so on. So when there is give and take, there is love. If only just we take, then there is no love, right? So dadami pratignati. So these are one of the symptoms of a devotee action. In the material world, whatever we see is a perverted reflection. There's no love. There is only a shadow. There's no happiness in this material world, actually. The happiness is not real. It's just like a shadow. If you see your hand shadow, it's not real. So whatever is give and take, like that. Nanda Maharaj was like, there is no payment, there is no work. There's no sense gratification. That was like that. So Nanda Maharaj was overwhelmed with affection upon hearing Krishna's word, and his eyes brimmed with tears as he embraced the two lords. Then he went back to Vraja with the cowed men. So upon hearing Krishna's word, his eyes tears came up, and he embraced the two lords, Krishna and Balram. Then he returned back to Vraja. So yeah, when you are in Krishna consciousness, you have good absorption in Krishna consciousness, and it's a good atmosphere, devotional. Then naturally your love for, when you have love for God, you have love for devotees also. Then the reciprocation is very nice, very sweet. You feel very transcendental like that. So here we can see in this poem, Nanda Maharaj overwhelmed with affection upon hearing Krishna's word, and his eyes brimmed with tears as he embraced the two lords. Then he went back to Vraja with the cowboys. So Nanda Maharaj is embracing Krishna, and tears are coming. There are different symptoms in Bhakti Rasamrita Singh. One is tears coming from eyes, trembling of the body, hair standing on end. We cannot imitate that, but some of the signs here. So you can see here. My dear king, then Vasudeva, the son of Surasana, arranged for a priest and other brahmanas to perform his two sons' second birth initiation. So second initiation. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in this second initiation one should not give quickly. In one of his letters he says we should wait because whether one is serious, chanting rounds, following the rules and regulation. Because Brahmanical means pure, like if you'd say okay, go to kitchen and cook. There should be training. What will you cook? Right? You'll bring your own consciousness. That so it's like that. Brahmanical second initiation. Prabhupada says wait. So actually, one sure there is training was there in this is Kali Yuga actually. Uh, Everything is topsy-turvy. The student used to be under the care of spiritual master. He was following the oath of brahmachari, celibacy life, and then if he could not, then he should go enter household life and get the good kicks and go back. And ultimately, one should take sannyas before giving up this body. So, Kali Yuga in sannyas, 5 things are not recommended. Sannyas is not recommended, but for preaching purpose, Srila Prabhupada gave this sannyas. My dear king, then Vasudevasana arranged for a priest and other brahmanas to perform his 2 sons' second birth initiation. So there are different samskaras. So Vasudeva is performing these samskaras of his 2 sons, second one. Vasudeva honored these brahmanas by worshipping them and giving them fine ornaments and well-ornamented cows with their cows. All these cows were gold necklace and linen wreaths. So these were the things he gave ornaments, cows, calves, gold necklace, and linen wreath. Then Magnus Vasudev then remembered the cows he had mentally given away on the occasion of Krishna and Balram's birth. Kamsa had stolen those cows, and Vasudev now recovered them and gave them away in charity. So during the birth of Krishna, Vasudeva had mentally given cows. Now he is practically giving the cows on the occasion of Krishna's Balram's birth again, when he was released from Kamsa, from prison. After attaining twice born status through initiation, the Lord, sincere in their oaths, took the further oath of celibacy from Garga Muni, the spiritual master of the Yadus. So after attaining twice born status through initiation, the Lord, sincere in their oaths, took the further oath of celibacy from Garga Muni, the spiritual master of the Yadus. After attaining twice born status. The Lord, sincere in their oaths, sincere. In spiritual life, one has to become sincere. That's the qualification. No? Like to speak, we can speak many words, but it will be just theoretical, right? But application is so deep like that. Jnana and Vairagya, but it won't have effect. Theoretical, practical. One should dedicate one's life in this. One should hold the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is self-realization, self-realization. So there are different yagyas, in celibacy, in household life there is celibacy. You have to perform yagnas, you have to control the senses. In brahmacharya life, you have to celebrate demigod yagnas. Different types of these yagyas are there. Renounced of life, this material, this. So different types of austerities are there, different sacrifices are mentioned, but ultimately the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is self-realization. The goal should be self-realization, the ultimate source. So here it says, after attaining twice birth status through initiation, the Lord, sincere in their oaths, took the further oath of celibacy from Garga Muni, the spiritual master of the Yadus. Concealing their innately perfect knowledge by their human-like activities, those two omniscient Lord of the universe, themselves the origin of all branches of knowledge, next desired to reside at the school of a spiritual master. Thus they approached Sandipa Muni, a native of Kashi living in the city of Avanti. The best of Brahmanas, the spiritual master Sandipa Muni was satisfied with their submissive behavior, and he thought that the entire Vedas together with their 6 colleges and the Upanishads. He also taught them the Dhanur Veda with its most confidential secrets, the standard books of law, the methods of logical reasoning and philosophical debate, and the 6-fold science of politics. So Krishna, their concentration, they learned the 64 arts and skills in as many days and nights. Thereafter, O king, they satisfied their spiritual mind, offering him Guru Dakshina. So that's why it says Bahu Shaka. If there is many branches, if we ever, then it will be very difficult. It said one has to become a pure devotee of the Lord. But if one is pure devotee of the Lord, then there will be no material this hankering or this. But then also it said Bhagavad Gita, 4 types of devotees come to me. Chaturvida bhajante mam. No, one who is in distress, one who is well, one who is suffering, one who is inquisitive, but they also become purified. Yes. So here we can see, O king, the best of person, Krishna and Balram, being themselves the original progenitors of all varieties of knowledge, could immediately assimilate each and every subject after hearing it explained just once. Thus, with fixed concentration, they learned the 64 arts and skills in as many as days and nights. Thereafter, O king, they satisfied the spiritual master by offering him Guru Dakshina. So charity purifies great souls also. One should not give up charity. Penance and charities is mentioned. Charity, there are charities in mode of goodness, charity in mode of passion, charity in ignorance. So charity in goodness one has to perform. Charity in ignorance. So now, O king, the learned Sandipan carefully considered two Lord glorious and amazing qualities and their superior human. Then, after consulting with his wife, he chose as his remuneration the return of his young son, who had died in the ocean at Prabhasa. So Krishna returned the son. Went to take, he appeared, he approached ocean. Now we can see here. Here, Dvijatvam means twice born. Twice born, they are Brahmanas. Brahmanas are twice born. The Kshatriyas are twice born. The Vaishyas, the higher class of men, they are called twice born. Because one birth is made by father and mother, and the next birth is made by Vedic knowledge and spiritual master. So we have very fortunate to come to Krishna consciousness. This is a great gift. 2 things in spiritual life: the mercy of the Lord and mercy of his pure representative is very essential. We can see in Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj at the time of death, he had 7 days notice. But he got these blessings when he was in the womb of his mother. He could see the Lord when the Brahmastra was sent by Ashwathama, and he was protected by the Lord. And then thereafter he heard Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. So he says Dvijatva means twice born, means second initiation, like he's again born, initiation. They are Brahmanas, and twice born the Kshatriyas, twice born, and the Vaishyas, they mean higher class of men. They are called twice. Because one birth is made by father and mother, and the next birth is made by Vedic knowledge and spiritual master. This is the system. So nobody is born Brahmana or intelligent class of men, but by cultivation of knowledge, by practice, by good association, one can come to the highest standard of life. So here is very good. It says, because one birth is made by father and birth, real birth is when we accept a spiritual master, we surrender to him. And next birth is made by Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge and spiritual master. That's our real birth. This is the system. So nobody is born Brahmana or intelligent class of men, but by cultivation of knowledge, by practice, by good association, one can come to the higher standard. It says, nobody is born Brahmana or intelligent class of men, but by cultivation of knowledge, by practice, and by good association. Yeah, one should not give up to Krishna consciousness. One should be determined in Krishna consciousness. So there are different types of austerity in goodness, in passion, and ignorance. So here it says, nobody. So when we practice, naturally we will. Suppose you want to get up early in the morning, you practice. Then you naturally make a practice, and generally use practice. So here it says, you cannot give up. Nobody is born Brahmana or intelligent class of men, but by cultivation of knowledge, by practice, by good association. This association also said good association. Good association means association of devotees. One can come to the highest standard of life. I seek your blessings all. Hare Krishna. So he says, by Vedic knowledge, see, in Bhagavad Gita also says, one should be from material contamination, one should be in good association, like that, right? Krishna is saying everything perfect. Everything is perfect. We should take knowledge from Vedic knowledge. Um, it says, um, next birth is made by Vedic knowledge and spiritual master. This is system. So nobody is born a Brahmana or intellectual class of man. By cultivation of knowledge, by practice, by good association, one came to the higher standard of life. And when one is on the platform of goodness, then one has to transcend that platform of goodness and come to the platform of pure goodness. So goodness also is contamination is there, but you have to come to the standard of pure goodness. Especially in this age, everybody is influenced by passion and ignorance, the mixture of passion and ignorance. But Krishna consciousness is the transcendental platform. In the material world, even a man is supposed to be a very good man. There is possibility of being affected by the mode of passion and ignorance. But in the transcendental platform, which is called Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness, there is no interaction. Is supposed to be very good man. There is possibility of being affected by the mode of passion and ignorance. So Lord Shiva is the controller of mode of ignorance. Generally, Shiva is topmost Vaishnava. So we give respect to everybody. So we give respect to Lord Shiva. So a man is supposed to be a very good man. There is possibility of being affected by the mode of passion and ignorance. But in the transcendental platform, which is called Vishuddha Sattva, pure goodness, there is no interaction of these three qualities of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. It means, in generally, when we are in this material world, we are sure to be affected by these modes of nature. Sometimes goodness is prominent, passion is permanent. One has to goodness is cleanliness, is austerity, purity, clean. There's some goodness. Passion is hard labor, attachment, ignorance, madness, illusion. Bhagavad Gita concludes therefore. 14th chapter explains about that. You can go 18th chapter also. Bhagavad Gita concludes therefore. Yo mam avyubicharena bhakti yogena seva sukha gunan samatyetam. Brahma Bhuya Kalpa. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of mental nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman, he says. He says, one who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of mental nature and thus come to the level. I do, so Govinda Mahadi Purusha. So these are the few points of the initiation. Twice born Brahmanas. The real birth is through the Vedic knowledge and through spiritual master. One has to cultivate knowledge. One has to practice in good association. And one has to come to the highest standard of life. And one has to come to goodness. And above that, one has to come to Vishuddha Sattva. This was these few things mentioned in this. Then an intelligent being should acknowledge the sovereignty of the Lord and willingly engage in devotional service. So here, especially in this year, will offering of tributes from nectar of devotion. Some things. 1 minute. The costless mercy of Krishna. This is the impetus for Krishna's service. We can see the reciprocation of Lord and his devotees here. A nice offering tributes like here. The costless mercy of Krishna, the dust of his lotus feet, his prasadam, and his association with devotees are some impetuses toward a devotee's engagement in transcendental service, loving service to the Lord. So this is the impetuses for Krishna service. So the dust of his lotus feet, his prasada, and association with devotees are some toward a devotee's engagement in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Krishna exhibited his costless mercy when he was present at the departure of grandfather Bhishma. So we all heard about Bhishma Dev, how he was in battlefield, and he gives us wonderful prayers. And in this, especially, how Krishna is reciprocating with his giving his mercy, he's coming over there. He was, and Bhishma Dev is giving nice talks here. So this is one of this. He was present at the departure of grandfather Bhishma. During the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev, the grandfather of Arjuna, was lying on a bed of arrows before departing from this mortal world. When Lord Krishna Maharaj Yudhishthira and other Pandavas approached Bhishmadev. He was very grateful to Lord Krishna and he addressed the Brahmana military commander, Kripacharya. Thus, my dear Kripacharya, just see the wonderful costless mercy of Lord Krishna. I am most unfortunate. I have no qualification. I was opposing Krishna's most intimate friend. So Bhishmadev, he was a lifelong Naistik brahmachari, like, and he had the Ichha he could leave his body on his own will. And he's taking so much humble position. So this Vaishnava means humble. Is humbleness. My dear Kripacharya, just see the wonderful costless mercy of Lord Krishna. He's saying to Kripacharya, I just see the wonderful costless mercy. He's lying on the bows of arrow. And Bhishmadev is talking here. I am most unfortunate. I have no qualification. I was opposing Krishna's most intimate friend, Arjuna. I even tried to kill him. I have so many disqualifications. Yet the Lord is still so kind that he has come to see me at the last point of my life. He is worshipable by all great sages, but still he is so merciful that he has come to see an abominable person like me. So one should be never puffed up of whatever material qualities we have. In front of, we are very tiny, very small, very small. Here we can see Bhishmadev. He was so exalted devotee of the Lord, and his prayers are, he says, I am most unfortunate. I have no qualification. I was opposing Krishna's most intimate friend Arjuna. I even tried to kill him. I have so many disqualifications, yet the Lord is still so kind. He has come to see me at the last point of my life. He is worshipable by all great sages, but still he is so merciful that he has come to see an abominable person like me. So devotional service one takes up, it's not a cheap thing. Like a devotee may have some bad this, but it is due to his past this. Anybody comes to devotional service, they are fortunate in other sense. What they're not ordinary. Here we can see here. It says sadhu evacha. If one is engaged in devotional service, is considered to be a saintly person, though he may have many faults. Because due to his previous anarthas, he cannot give up. Like a person is smoking and he in his previous days, but he cannot give. He's addicted to smoking. Example like that. The example is given here. So we can here learn from Yudhishthira Maharaj. He was grateful to Lord Krishna. He addressed the Brahmana military commander Kripacharya. My dear Kripacharya, just see the wonderful, costless mercy of Lord Krishna. I am most unfortunate. I have no qualification. I was opposing Krishna's most intimate friend Arjuna. So Bhishma Devi is in the opposite side, on the side of Duryodhan, and he's throwing bows. He was trying to kill Arjuna. And he's saying, I was opposing Krishna's most intimate friend Arjuna. I even tried to kill him. I have so many disqualifications, yet the Lord is still so kind that he has come to see me at the last point of my life. He is worshipable by all great stages, but still he is so merciful that he has come to see an abominable person like me. Sometimes the vibration of Lord Krishna's flute, his burgling, his smiling, his foot marks on the ground, the transcendental fragrance of his body, and the appearance of a new cloud in the sky also become impetus for ecstatic love of him. So this is another pastimes in Vidakta Madhava. There is a following statement. When Krishna was playing on his flute, Baldev very anciently declared, see how after hearing the transit sound of Krishna's flute, Indra, the king of heaven, is crying in his heavenly kingdom. And from his teardrops falling on the ground, Vrindavan appears to have become a celestial residence for the demigods. So the glorification of the flute is given here. Sometimes the vibration of Lord Krishna's flute, his burgling, smiling, his footmarks on the ground, the transcendental fragrance of his body, and the appearance of a new cloud in the sky also become impetus for ecstatic love. Krishna's smile, Krishna's footmarks, transcendental fragrance of his body, and appearance of a new cloud in the sky. So when you say new cloud, I remember once when I was in Columbus, I was on the way to New Vrindavan. So I stopped in Columbus, and we had gone to Harinam Sankirtan. And Radhanath Maharaj was there, also came. And then he saw the clouds and he says, a cloud color is like Krishna's cloud color. We could not do Sankirtan because rain was to come at that time. So, so I just remember that how Krishna consciousness is quoting from the Bhagavad Gita. In everything one has to see Krishna. Here he says, sometimes the vibration of Lord Krishna's flute, his buggling, his smiling, his footmarks on the ground, the transcendental fragrance of his body, and the appearance of a new cloud in the sky also becomes impaired for extreme love of him. Just seeing all these things, Krishna's flute, his smiling, his footmarks, body, one becomes ecstatic. In the Veda, when Krishna was playing on his flute, Baldev very anciently learned. Just see how, after hearing the trance sound of Krishna's flute, Indra, the king of heaven, is crying in his heavenly kingdom. And from his tear balls falling on the ground, Vrindavan appears to have become a celestial residence for the demigods. Extra love of Krishna, which is known as Anubhava. Okay, this little. So in another quote is there in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:86 chapter verse 38. There statement how Srutadeva, a Brahmana from the country called Mithila in northern India, became so overpowered with joy as soon as he saw Krishna that immediately after bowing to the Lord's lotus feet, he stood up and began to dance, raising his two arms above his head. So another, there is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam in Mithila. There was a Brahmana whose name was Srutadev, and when he saw Lord Krishna, it was so much joy. After bowing down to the Lord's lotus feet, he stood up and began to dance, raising his two arms above his hand. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana, if we do all these four things, Manmana, always think of Krishna, worship Krishna, bow down to Krishna and become his devotee, will surely come to me. Yes. So this, any of this we can do. One of the devotees, so here we can learn from Srutadeva, a Brahmana. He offered offering both down before the Lord, and he became very ecstatic. He stood up and began to dance. So dancing is one of jubilation. When you are happy, you are dancing. One of the devotees of Lord Krishna once addressed him in his manner, "My dear Lord, although you are not a professional dancer, by your dancing you are so astonished that we can understand you are personally the master of all dancing. Certainly you must have learned the dancing art directly from the goddess of love. When a devotee dances in ecstatic love, there are manifestation of symptoms which are called sattvika. Sattvika means they are from the transcendental platform. They are not symptoms of material emotion. They come from the soul proper." Hare Krishna. So here another nice quote. Krishna is saying, Krishna's one of devotees addressing Lord Krishna, "My dear Lord, you are not a professional dancer. By your dancing, you are so astonished that we can understand that you are personally the master of all dancing." So we can see Krishna is standing with three banga. He is not, his body is covered in three directions. Yes. He says, "You are not a professional dancer. By your dancing, you are so astonished to us that we can understand that you are personally the master of all dancing. Certainly, you must have learned the dancing arts directly from the goddess of love." When a devotee dances in ecstatic love, they are manifested of symptoms which is called sattvika. Sattvika, they are from the transcendental world. They are not symptoms of material emotion. They come from the soul proper. So this is very important, chanting and dancing in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada also emphasized many times in the scriptures, chant, dance, take prasadam, nothing else. Just you will feel joyful, happy. So here also this one is here, is giving the example of Krishna. A devotee is saying, you have learned this art from a goddess of love. So when a devotee dances in ecstatic love, there are manifest symptoms which are called sattvika, means they are from the transcendental form. They are not symptoms of material emotion. They come from the soul properly. To some little bit, you cannot say little bit also, far away. But when you are engaged in Krishna consciousness, book distribution, whatever service, you feel joyful. Yes, right? And you chant your rounds nicely. Eat nice, good, sumptuous prasadam, very nice, delicious. For us, prasadam is Hare Krishna. We are ready to. But Parikshit, so says Raghunath Das Goswami, he was so austere He used to eat the remnants. He was totally about the bodily conception of life here. So in Srimad, Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit that after surrendering everything unto the lotus feet of Amandeva, this another quote from Bhagavatam. So different we heard from right. Bhishma Dev's example, then a flute example, then a devotee example, Krishna's dancing. Now from Parikshit Maharaj is in the 10th Canto 8th chapter, Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj that after surrendering everything unto the lotus feet of Vamandev, Bali Maharaj immediately caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and pressed them to his heart. Being overwhelmed with joy, he manifested all the symptoms of ecstatic love with tears in his eyes and a faltering voice. So here he says, Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit that after surrendering Bali Maharaj, after surrendering everything unto the lotus feet of Vamandev, Bali Maharaj immediately caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and pressed them to his heart. Being overwhelmed with joy, he manifested all the symptoms of ecstatic love with tears in his eyes and a faltering voice. So unless one doesn't surrender, one cannot come to this position. Or unless one is not take the dust of the feet take the blessings of a pure devotee, he cannot get these blessings. So here we can see Parikshit Maharaj. He surrendered everything and lotus feet of Vamandev, and immediately uploading pressed them to his heart. Overwhelmed with joy, he manifested all the symptoms of love with tears in his eyes and a faltering. In such expression of ecstatic love, there are many subset symptoms such as jubilation, withering, silence, disappointment, moroseness, reverence, thoughtfulness, remembrance, doubtfulness, confidence, eagerness, indifference, restlessness, impudence, shyness, inertness, illusion, madness, ghastliness, contemplation, dreaming, disease, and sign of death. When a devotee meets Krishna, there are symptoms of jubilation, pride, and prison. When he is feeling great separation of Krishna, the symptoms of ghastliness, disease, and signs of death become prominent. Nice point here. When a devotee meets Krishna, there are symptoms of jubilation, pride, and preservation. When he is feeling great separation of Krishna, the symptoms of ghastliness, disease, and signs of death become prominent. It stated in the first canto, so devotee becomes fearless. Yeah. He is not afraid. That's why Srila Prabhupada's name is Abhay Charan Arvind, because he took the shelter from the lotus feet of Krishna. So he was fearless. He preached this message all over the world. In Bhagavad Gita also it says, one wants to become dear to the Lord, he has to preach the message all over the world. One who gives this knowledge to others is very dear to me. So in his stated Bhagavatam, when Lord Krishna from battle from Krishna to home at Dwarka, all the residents of Dwarka began to talk to him as a child talks lovingly to his father, after the father returns from foreign countries. This is an example of jubilation. Goes on. Time is not permitting a little bit. Any comments, any questions? Yes, these are some quotes from Nectar of Devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for...
I like your determination, Prabhu.
You have no determination.
Still you're hanging on. You're holding on.
Oh, Guru's holding me up.
Of respect to elders, children, women, of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I was just reflecting on your relaying Bhishma Dev's thoughts when he's lying on the bed of arrows. And he was obviously feeling great respect towards Krishna and appreciative that Krishna was coming to see him at that time, because he was recognizing that he'd been fighting against Krishna's intimate friend Arjuna. So I was just reflecting, it seems that it's not possible to offer respect unless you recognize your position in relationship to somebody.
Yes.
So that was just a thought I'm having.
Yes, we can say today's Lord Shiva. Shiva is a great devotee of the Lord. We have to offer respects to even Shiva, even offer respects to ordinary person. What to say of Lord Shiva? in a householder, even it says, even there is some living entities, even a snake, you have to take care of that. So these are the teachings, like when one becomes a pure devotee, and naturally all this thing develops like that. Unless we are on the bodily platform, it's very difficult, not so easy. So these are all teachings, sir. So this all Bhagavatam, we take our time, we hear all this. So these are the teachings that was going on like that. As time, Kali Yuga progresses, slowly, all the vision, slowly, it covers up like that. So passion and emotions become more prominent. So we see on that.
And it's sometimes difficult to understand what is an offense and what is not an offense. And I just thought if you can talk more in that light, that how we distinguish that what our duties are supposed to be, and in what situation we can practice Krishna consciousness, and that might be considered as an offense or improper behavior by other devotee. If
Hare Krishna. Nice question, Prabhu. You said you give the example of Duryodhan. Bhishma Dev approached Duryodhan, right?
Duryodhana approached Bhishma,
Duryodhana approached Bhishma. And what was the next you said?
then Bhishma Dev said to Duryodhan, just to encourage him, that either Arjuna's friend has to break his vow, or I am going to kill Arjuna. But we worship Bhishma Dev as Mahajanvi to follow his footsteps.
Correct. So there's some pastimes of Lord and his devotees, Bhishma Dev. So yeah, for us offenses, there are 10 kinds of offenses to blaspheme the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. First offense. Second offense, consider names of demigods like Shiva or Brahma to equal or independent of Lord Vishnu. Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Six, to give some mundane interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seven, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eight, to consider chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra as one of the religious activity. What's it? Eight, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra one of the auspicious religious activity offered in the Vedas. Fruitive activities mentioned the Karma Kanda section. 9, to instruct a faithless person. 10, to know. Third, the teachings not have complete faith in the chanting of holy, maintain material attachment, after understand so many instructions on this matter. So yes, for us this we have to follow this 10 offenses. We have to be careful in this to advance in spiritual life. But on the bodily platform, we judge other devotees. We see with that vision, according to our this, because this is an hospital. In a hospital, there will be all classes of people. So diseased, material disease. Some disease be more. And what to say, we are in United States of America, where passion and ignorance is very prominent. Even you can say, Prabhupada says this example of Ajamil. Ajamil just saw and he fell down from his position. So where can be counted up to compare to Ajamil? He was trained in as Brahmana in his childhood. So we get an opportunity in Krishna consciousness. So devotional service is so powerful that it purifies us. It's so powerful. But there should be distinction, because we are practicing Krishna consciousness. So naturally, there will be a lot of anarthas. But when we'll be determined in Krishna consciousness, slowly Krishna is within us. He guides us slowly, slowly, right? The one is to be very cautious not to commit offenses. There are many offenses from mentally offenses, verbally offenses, practically offenses, like that. Different offenses are there. There are dham aparad, seva aparad. In worshipping the deities also there are apradhas. The nam aparad is there, seva aparad is there. But all offenses, offense to a devotee is very dangerous, like that. So this was one nice quote from here. We say I had read from Bhagavad Gita. One birth is made by father and the mother, and the next birth is made by Vedic knowledge. So we have to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and try to apply in life. Vedic knowledge and spiritual knowledge. This is the system. So nobody is born Brahmana Indian class, but by cultivation of knowledge and by practice and by good association, one can come to the highest end of life. Good association. It's very important. This. Otherwise, we will be associating passion and ignorance. Naturally, we'll have that qualities. But Krishna consciousness very firm, strong. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.